people, I'm Shalini Skekhar and I'm pursuing economics honors, final year student, obviously. Currently hold offers from LSE, UCLA, Sciences Po and UCL.
Hello everyone, I am Pakhi Vats. I am also a final year student of Economics Honours at this college. SRCC for those of you from elsewhere watching this video. I currently hold offers from the University of Oxford, LSE and Columbia University.
Hi guys, I'm Raghav Kant and I'm also a final year Economics Honours student at SRCC. I have been admitted to the London Business School in a Masters in Finance course and I'll be going there. There is no fixed point as to when you should start, but you should take approximately an year to plan everything out. I think the first step is to just research. As stupid as it may sound, just pick out the universities that you know from anywhere that you read, say Stanford, Harvard, and just go to their websites and look at their postgraduate courses. And that is how you will essentially finalize the list of your universities, by researching each and every university and their courses separately. My personal timeline was that I started my GRE prep in June after the end of my second year. I gave my GRE in August, but that is precisely because my applications began in September and they ended in November. So my overall timeline was pretty short, from June till December, and in December I got my results.
Right. So like Raghav said, have a year or so. By the time second year ended, we were very clear on this that we are going to devote our final year into preparation for higher education, etc. However, we still weren't clear whether to sit for placements or not, which is why, like he said, we started preparing for the GRE in June, July. That is also when I was personally finalizing which universities or courses I want to apply to. So you must have heard this going around quite a lot, the dream, reach and safe categorization. Like dream is supposed to be the premier institutions or institutions that you've always dreamt of getting in. Reach or target, the second category, is supposed to be something according to a personal assessment or evaluation of your own profile you feel very much possible you will get in. And then the safe schools are I'd say schools wherein there's a certain return on investment based on how much you're investing, and then in case you wish to go into the job industry or you wish to pursue academia later on, how much returns you're getting. Based on that, if it's a good deal, I won't say deal, but if it's a good scenario, those are your safe schools. So based on that, I started preparing this spreadsheet during June, July while I was also preparing for the GRE, and I didn't have clarity as to which institutions I'll actually end up applying up until October. Like even till October, I was busy doing my essays, arranging my LORs. But at the end of the day, like I applied to 4 or 5 places. That timeline was also very different. So have sufficient amount of time in the sense that it's not that you have to sort of work 8 hours a day every single day preparing for higher ed, right? There were days where for 15 days I was free. I was doing other things, but I was absolutely not involved in higher ed prep. Whereas there were also days during my the last 10 day before the deadline window wherein I was working 6 to 8 hours a day. So have a comfortable timeline with you going on, because you might be juggling other things such as a placement or maybe coursework in general or working on some other publication.
From experience, I personally opted for an agent during my undergrad because I was looking for universities for my undergrad. But I personally feel that it is a drain on your pocket because they somehow help you to build your profile, which is essential during your undergrad, obviously. But during your postgrad, you have your network around, you know what to do, and you can connect to people, and then you get to understand that this is how you should tread your path. So essentially, I feel that they'll just give you a structure as to when to start, how to build your profile, and then when to apply. This is what you already know. So I would recommend not going for agents.
Right.
Yeah, fair enough. Why I would not recommend going to an education consultant is because I feel that who knows you better than yourself, right? You know what you can do, and if you know how to leverage whatever you have done in the past to show that you perfectly fit into the XYZ program that you're applying to, then there is no need for an agent. Also, I personally feel that, say I'm coming from SRCC, the education consultant would benefit more in this scenario because I feel that I have a higher probability of getting in than a regular average student. And that is why I think he'd be getting the better end of the deal. And this is my personal opinion that the consultant would be getting the better end of the deal, and that is why I chose not to.
Okay, right. So in terms of seeking third-party help, I feel 3 kinds of avenues there. Firstly, agents that we've been discussing. Secondly, peers, students, friends your age who are also looking to apply, who are in the same process as you. And thirdly, seniors, whether seniors from your college or seniors studying in universities that you are applying to, or who maybe graduated from there, working in the industry, etc. So to say, I feel it's better to rely on the latter two than relying on agents, because like Shalini said, that if you seek help in the form of an agent and you're also sort of paying them, firstly I think like every single person that you talk to, if I'm talking to these two, if I'm talking to a senior, if I'm talking to an agent, they will give me a biased view in a sense that is just their point of view, that is just their opinion. When you're speaking to an agent, they sort of mask their opinion in a way that they present it as the truth or as facts. So and again, had I relied on an agent, I wouldn't have gone on those websites myself. I wouldn't have talked to students studying in that university, and that would have just reduced how much I knew about this entire process, and I would have believed every single thing or a majority of what that agent was telling me, and that sort of clouds your judgment a lot. So I think it's better to build a support system of friends around you. They can really help in preparation. So for example, I am not someone who's very disciplined. I can't trust myself to wake up early and study for 8 hours every single day. But if I am preparing with a friend, we sort of motivate each other, and also like each person has their own strengths while studying something. So we can collaborate on that front as well. Secondly, like we said, leverage your community as much as possible. If you're in a like I particularly, or the 3 of us, we connected with as many SRCC alumni as possible who had studied abroad or are currently working. And people on LinkedIn, you just need to send a message and they reply, and get on a call with them. It's generally very helpful.
Also, a big no to agents, because they specifically have a structure of your essays, and they have systems. The universities have systems which can detect the kind of structure. So maybe you could get rejected there. So they have a sort of structure as to how should you approach your essays. So that is why it's a big no.
Yeah, one other thing that I feel that somewhere incentives are also misaligned, in the sense that maybe an agent is working on a commission basis from the university itself.
Yeah.
So they might end up pushing you towards that university, which may or may not be the perfect fit for you.
Yeah.
So that is where somewhere along the line you are the best judge of what you should pursue. Maybe take feedback from somebody's. As Pakhi said, seniors are a great help, and that there is this interconnected web of students batch to batch that we can approach. I started out asking my EcoSoc seniors about what to do, which courses did. EcoSoc is the Economic Society of SRCC. Yes, I ended up broadening my horizon to particularly ask other seniors as well, other seniors who have pursued exactly what I want to pursue, right?
Okay, so in terms of what's the usual process for most of the colleges abroad, there are certain requirements that you have to fulfill. Firstly, essays. Secondly, LORs. Thirdly, academic transcripts. Fourthly, resume. And fifth, standardized tests. So essays can be of different types. First, like a statement of purpose is different. Personal statement is very different. For finance course like the ones Raghav applied in, their questions were very different. Like it wasn't a general SOP or personal statement format. Very specific. He'll elaborate on it later. Then certain universities require you to submit writing samples. Those writing samples can be papers that you've published, but generally it's advised to write something afresh. Also, so for example, I applied to 2 courses in Oxford, and I did not factor this in earlier than I should have. Like one of them had a single writing sample, which was around 2000 words. Another had 2 writing samples, which were required to be somewhere around 4000 words each. So, if you are applying, that is like a major component that you should not miss out on and should not do at the 11th hour. Moving on to LORs again, some universities require you to submit 2, some require you to submit 3, so build like a proper relationships with your professors and attend classes regularly so that you can ask them well in advance, inform them of your plans, and expect an LOR, because we face quite a lot of problem in the sense that a lot of professors who had taught us during our first year had transferred to other colleges or left, which is why our prospects had narrowed down quite a lot. So plan well in advance. Standardized tests, 2 types. First, aptitude, GRE, GMAT. Second is language, TOEFL or IELTS. And apart from that, academic transcripts, maintain like minimum 8 GPA, I'd say, for most courses. Some have a requirement of say 8.8, which is quite rigorous. Also, finally, like make a academic resume separately. The ones that we like the placement cell format that all of us make for say internship cycle or placement season is not what is accepted to these universities. So create separately an academic resume for the same.
Adding to it, certain universities kind of waiver your language tests because they feel that because the medium of instruction was English all through your undergrad, so they kind of waiver it. Sciences did it, but I kind of preferred applying for appearing for.
Yeah.
I kind of preferred appearing for IELTS or TOEFL because UCLA had this minimum requirement that you should appear for TOEFL and then apply for that university. So yes.
Yeah, one thing that I would like to add is that something which was different to the courses that I applied to was that the essays weren't exactly statement of purpose essays or personal statement essays. They were, so one of the question was, what do you intend to do in your career? So I had to list in peculiar detail what I intended to do. Maybe I don't have to follow upon on that, but they expect you to do that kind of research when you apply to their institution.
Mm-hmm.
For example, when I applied to London Business School, I wrote that I want to do investment banking, why I would like to do that. And for that, again, we circle back to the point that we have to leverage our community. I talked to a lot of my seniors who are currently in investment banking jobs as to what appealed to them, what attracted them to this proposition. And that's where I got some of my content from, something to write, right? Another thing is about the resume. For example, most of the universities require you to submit your academic resume, which is very different from the resume that you apply to internships with. However, in finance courses, somewhere or the other, if you submit a modified draft of your SRCC CV, that works to an extent that you have to clarify certain details which are widely known in India but not abroad. For example, one of the things that I did was that I converted everything from lakhs and crores to millions and billions, right? One is that. Secondly, say everybody knows how important class 10th and 12th board exams are. So we end up using abbreviations but not giving the proper full form of that. So that is something I ended up adding. I ended up adding my undergrad subjects, which is known to some recruiter who might be coming to college, but not really to the institution that I'm applying to.
You ended up including this?
Yes, I ended up including this. Moreover, moving on to standardized tests, I think GRE versus GMAT is a question that every master student would face. I ended up taking the GRE because I think it offered me greater flexibility. So GMAT doesn't allow you. I think the new Focus edition allows you to a certain extent, but in its totality, it doesn't allow you to basically mix around with the questions, right? If you attempt question number 1 and you move on to question number 2, then that's it. You can't attempt question number 1 again. But that's something that the GRE allows you to do that, and that is something that I found comforting. That is something that I found aligned with my strengths, and that is why I gave the GRE. If we talk about studying for standardized tests, I think one is that you should consult official materials the most, because those are the most accurate and that will in the end help you the most, right? GRE basically has 3 components. You have to study for maths, you have to study for English comprehension, and the third is vocabulary. So what I did personally was, and which helped me a lot as well, was that I had taken a course from Makush, although I would recommend against it, because in the end everything I did because of self-study, right? But one thing which I did different from the crowd, I believe, is so for example, I studied maths and English on my own, but I studied vocabulary with Pakhi. So having a study buddy helps in the sense that the accountability is separated, right?
Yeah.
That I am accountable for my maths and English on my own, but there is a collective accountability when we talk about the vocabulary part of things. And also you end up forming some funny acronyms, some funny mnemonics, and that just helps you remember better, right?
Right. Just a couple things I'd like to add. Firstly, like he said, we don't recommend surely going for Magush because we, like personally speaking, we were a spoiled batch because initially when we entered college, it was online, and so we got used to studying from YouTube, etc. And we didn't want to necessarily take up bulky books and read them. And so, like, I bought the coaching material thinking that I won't have to study the bulky books. But at the end of the day, if you want to get a good score, get a 330 plus, you can't avoid those bulky books. You will, when you're giving mocks and you realize that, okay, Magush is not enough, I'm still not scoring. You will go to like the Bibles of preparation, like Barron for vocab or Manhattan Prep, Kaplan, etc. that other people refer to. The 5-pounder book for mathematics.
Yeah.
So better to consult them in the beginning itself rather than looking here and there, trying to be lazy, trying not to avoid working hard. I also wanted to add one thing in the essays bit that mostly, like for most American schools, in the application portal they sort of have additional questions on how you would contribute to their university.
Yeah.
Why should they select you? What value would you bring to the community at their university? Or they might ask you to enlist extra publications, extracurricular activities that you've participated in. And on the spot you might be, in the portal you might be required to write say 200 to 500 words for it. So I would recommend, once you finalize, say these are the 5 universities that I'm applying to, go create an account in each of their portals, browse through the application portal, all of its pages once, and write down exactly what all you're required to submit. Even if I have to submit a 200 write-up, that is in excess of the SOP or the writing sample that I had already prepared, I would want say half an hour or an hour to brainstorm upon it, write it properly. So just get familiar with the portal beforehand, because it also helps you not feel overwhelmed when you are actually filling the application and you think, okay, this is the last bit, I've done everything and I just have to fill the application form.
Yeah.
And it surprises you with 4 more things that you didn't expect. So it's better to be prepared for that beforehand as well.
For me, I feel essays are a make or break because through the essay you can build a narrative. The people sitting there have no clue as to who you are as a person, and through that narrative I feel you can explain them who you are as a person. Also, why have you treaded this path, also why did you pursue this course, and why are you suitable for this course at that particular university. This is the only possible way where you can explain them, other than your marks and your LORs, references from your professors. This is the only way in which you can express yourself.
Right. For the essays, like she said, narrative, weaving a narrative is super important. You need to somehow convince them how every single project that you've worked on, every internship that you've done, or the fields that you're interested in working have led you, have together transpired to bring you here at this point in life where you want to pursue whichever course at whichever university, and that particular course is the best possible means to get to where you want to now go in the future. So it all depends on how much genuine, authentic and appropriate your story feels to them. Secondly, maintain a chronology. Like as much as you'd want to make your essay creative, do not
Go overboard.
yeah, and there needs to be this chronology in place wherein you explain to them that okay, this is what sparked an interest to pursue economics during my undergrad, and then I was juggling multiple opportunities and I got interested in climate change, and that led me to pursue this project, and then this led me to pursue that, and now at this point in my life I wish to do this, and your university is the best possible avenue to get me to where I want to be. Secondly, when taking feedback from seniors, I feel like Shalini said that at the end of the day it's your story. It all depends on how you want to present it to the selection committee at universities. So like even though I took feedback from my friends or my seniors, there were times where I didn't quite agree with what they were saying, and I would surely eliminate those comments and only accept the ones that aligned with my vision or my perception of how I want to present my profile to them.
Sometimes you can end up making 20 drafts and it could get to you. Like at that particular point of time, I would suggest like just take your time, let your essays soak up a bit, and then when you get back with a fresh set of eyes, I guess you will have new ideas and new ways on how to build up your essay, because it could get very monotonous to you and it could seem that this is the best I could provide, but sometimes it is not. When you come back with a fresh set of eyes, as I mentioned, it could seem very
creative.
It wouldn't seem creative
Fair.
to others as it did to you.
As Pakhi and Shalini said, while taking feedback, your discretion is key, right? One other thing that I would like to add here is that the other aspects of your application might include your achievements, whatever internship, research experience that you have done, but sometimes they don't include your motivations, right? So for example, a very important thing for me was the support that I got from my family and how I intend to basically reciprocate, right? That is something that I could not include elsewhere, and the essay is the perfect place to basically accommodate something like this.
Right. I also wanted to add that so studying in SRCC, I have sort of subconsciously gotten used to juggling say 6 opportunities at a single time, and not all of them are as like similarly value additive as the other. So in terms of that, don't be afraid of or don't be apprehensive of leaving out certain projects that you might have worked on, and in that like moment you might have like given a certain significant amount of effort to it, but if it does not make sense to your essay, if it does not make sense for this course, do not include it in your essay.
Also, do not fake it, because there could be certain things which are which is inexplicable, because the university might end up asking for proof, and in that case you'll be stuck.
Yeah.
So do not fake it,
Yeah.
because again,
What's the point?
That's the point.
Exactly.
Impossible.
And as Pakhi said, that say case competitions was something that was important to me and my application as a whole. But while she did it with me, it was not a very important part of her application. So she left it out. So there are certain things that you would like to include, but it is, so what we're trying to tell is that it is also okay to leave out certain aspects.
Yeah.
Right?
and also pick and choose. For example, there was a certain application wherein in the personal statement I included the case competition bit, like that I have participated in competitions, I've developed a certain field of acumen with respect to that. So pick and choose, right? Don't outrightly reject it, that it was not important. You never know which piece of the puzzle fits where.
Fair.
Also, I would suggest you to show or explain your essays to your family members, because they know you well than your peers. They kind of know your narrative. So if this speaks you, or if that particular essay screams you, they would know that yes, this is you, and then you can go forth with it.
Fair. Yes. While at the same time, case competitions. So one of the case competitions that I participated in was the HSBC India Business Case Competition, and that is a big achievement for me. And I tried to show it in a manner that I portrayed myself as a serial problem solver, and this was a proof of that, right?
As you mentioned that I did not hold a POI in my second year, but I interned in different domains. Sometimes it's easier to figure out what you don't want to pursue than again figuring out what you actually want to take up further.
Yeah.
I pursued a 4-month long internship in Niti, and in the domain as a research analyst or a data analyst. And then I tried my hands on the finance sector, and then I figured out that okay, finance is not my cup of tea, and I would really not want to take this up further as my postgraduate subject. So yes, negation technique worked out for me, and maybe it could for you. So try.
I also wanted to add that while it is true that you don't have to have everything in your profile or everything on your platter in order to get selected to the best of universities, trying out everything, all possible avenues, helps you figure out what you want. So for example, I was in a very comfortable position in a sense that from society's point of view, or case competitions or internships, that I had my fair share of each of these opportunities. There was a time when I began preparing for the GRE, and internships are always a tough nut to crack, right? Even till the last minute, you're not sure which one you're finalizing or if you want to. So there was a point where this thought did come into my mind that if I want to pursue masters, I'm not particularly set on getting a placement right after, then why should I intern? Why should I put in so much effort into it? I should just direct all my energies towards preparing for my GRE, or I could have begun my SOP or applied to say Rhodes Scholarship then and there. However, interning in the position that I did helped me immensely in creating a narrative afterwards, which is something I could not have foretold earlier. So do not self-reject, be open to possibilities. Don't decide for yourself that okay, please go for the opportunity, and then if it's so, for example, I did sit for placements, I got shortlisted for Carney, and during I could not even prepare for it. I realized because there was a clash with my SOPs, essays, etc. And I also, while preparing for it, realized that this is not my cup of tea. That is when I decided to not further apply to any companies. So again, be open to possibilities.
Yeah, basically you can categorize scholarships into 3 parts. One that you would apply to before your applications would begin, one which you will apply to during your application process, and one that you would apply to after your application process. So if we talk about the first types of scholarship, those are typically your Rhodes Scholarship offered by the University of Oxford or the Nehru Fulbright program. They begin quite early.
Also Commonwealth.
Yeah, also the Commonwealth Scholarship, right?
And Great Cambridge, I think.
Yeah.
Gates or Great.
Yeah, she's right. So basically, if my application process started in September, these scholarships got over by June of that year, right? That is how early these scholarships are. The second type of scholarships is basically mostly institution specific. So for example, my London Business School scholarships, their timeline is the same as the timeline of the application process. So they happen during the application process, or the scholarship that you apply to at Oxford, right? What is the name of that? The
WHT.
Yeah, the WHT scholarship, right? And the third type of scholarships are basically ones that open up after your application process gets over, maybe around March and April, which is right now, as of this moment, right? Even February, yeah. So those are typically offered by Indian philanthropists. Something like, so one of them is the J.N. Tata scholarship, another is the Narottam Shekhar scholarship,
and K.C. Mahindra.
Yeah, and the K.C. Mahindra scholarship, right? You can also categorize scholarships into two parts. A is the a regular scholarship that somebody would pay for your education. The second is in the form of an interest-free loan, which is the case for most of the scholarships offered by Indian philanthropists. So, for example, Narottam Shekhar scholarship, I would like to take an example. So, what it does is that it offers you your money for your education without any interest and extremely easy repayment conditions.
But you're required to return the amount in 3 years.
Yeah, in 3 years.
They give you a 1 year grace period after your course, and then within 3 years you
Exactly. So these are some terms and conditions that come with loan-based scholarships.
Yeah. Also, I'd like to add that the reason why scholarships like Rhodes and Fulbright, etc., begin so early is because their process is a bit different. Now, we didn't apply, so we don't know in detail. But I think it's more so for people who've had this clarity that they want to pursue higher ed at least 6 months or a year before we did, like when we started.
Okay.
Because if we began in say June, when our second year had ended, that was the time when like July, I think August 1 was Rhodes deadline, and by then Fulbright had already ended. So they begin 1 year well in advance, even before you've gotten admits or applied to the universities, because I think their purpose is very different. Like, they nurture scholars into their program very differently. So you could look into that if you have clarity from here on, say you're in first year and you already are committed to pursuing higher ed. So these are very great options. And while preparing yourself for applying for these scholarships, also you could simultaneously build a profile. Like, if I know from first year onwards that I intend to apply to Rhodes, I might want to have a social initiative or a impact startup going on in my first year itself. Yeah.
Concluding remarks. This entire process is quite intimidating, and at times it can get very overwhelming. So reach out to as many people as you can, again, especially family members, and then these sometimes friends and seniors, and it'll help you a great deal.
Also, build a support system around yourself. I've said it 10 times in this video, I guess. But you will need your people every step of the way. Not necessarily when things are going good, but especially when things are bad and might seem difficult. And also, like, when we were applying, we were sort of in a dreamland, because we were applying, but we didn't know what is to come. We were very much dreaming during the application process. But now that we have our results in our hands, it seems much more real than it did before. Right. And this is actually much more stressful, and okay, I'm not trying to deter anyone, but this is much more stressful and difficult than the previous steps that we had to go through, right? And if it weren't for the friends and the family around me, I wouldn't have been able to conquer that. And even going ahead, I know for a fact that living in another country where I'm all alone, I have sort of given this disclaimer to every one of my friends that please expect daily video calls from me crying my eyes out or ranting about the most basic thing ever. And also, I wanted to say that whether you get accepted or rejected, keep pastries and dark chocolates nearby, because you will need them.
Definitely.
It's more like suffering from success. It gets real after you get accepted into an university.
Yeah. One thing that I would like to say is that, as the both of them said, that you need to have a support system around you. during the process, before the process, after the process, because in each of these 3 times you will face varied kinds of issues, right? And I would really, my seniors helped me out so much, and we would also like to play our part, and you can reach out to us anytime. As Shalini said, family is also very important. It is important to disseminate all the information that you have to your loved ones. My dad especially, he helped me out so much during the entire process.
Thank you to my dad.
No, but in reality, it is very important. The support system bit is very important. And lastly, if you want to reach out to any of us, if you have any personalized queries, we would be happy to answer. You can LinkedIn either one of us.
Or all 3 of us.
Or all 3 of us.
Yeah.